All right. Greetings. How you doing? Welcome. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. Good to see you all. And we're live on YouTube, Rockfin. Call in for a couple more days. And on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, wherever you're watching, like the video. Leave a comment. Get in the chat box on Twitter. I can see your chats from there. Let's see. Few announcements before I get into. I have a couple stories to bring you today, and a few announcements. So tomorrow, I'm gonna change the time of the show, and I don't want to do it all willy-nilly, and I haven't wanted to change the time just all out of nowhere and be going back and forth and confusing people, but I feel pretty strongly that I'm going to change the time. So the time will go back to, remember when the show was at 11 a.m. Pacific every day? That is going to be the time of the show. So starting tomorrow, the time of Black Bear News will be 11 a.m. Pacific. Whether I'm doing a live or an upload, that will be the time that you'll see something. Oh, my audio sounds good. All right, cool, great. Yeah, it was overdriven, and I'm not really sure. All the settings are the same, so I'm not really sure. Anyways, we got people on Rockfin. How you doing, people on Rockfin? And pretty sure there's people on Twitter. I can't tell, though. Twitter always is a little slow to start. Looks like somebody's watching on Twitter. Somebody's watching on Twitter. What else? I have some other. I got a donation from Lou on PayPal. Thank you, Lou. And Lou always sends me the really great donation of coffee beans to my P.O. box. If you guys want to make a donation to my P.O. box, if that's your preferred way, you can do that. The P.O. box is in my description box. Also, if you want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, all those links are in the description box. Also, if the way it usually works is if you want to send a message with a tip or something, a super chat or a Rockfin Super Ray or a coffee or whatever, you know how that works. Go ahead and send me something during the show. I'll read it at the end of the show. Also, one more thing, have a live little music presentation on Sunday. If you guys want to join in, you can go to kevinsandbloom.com and register for the show there. Got a couple people already getting in there, and I imagine some more folks are gonna fill it up pretty soon. So looking forward to that. I got some new songs I want to throw down and all that kind of good stuff. So if you're interested in getting a little music concert from me, from yours truly, you can go to kevinsandbloom.com and go check that out. All right. So, first story, and I've been seeing a lot about this over the past, I guess, week or so. And I've been meaning to cover it, been wanting to cover it. But the price of cocoa on the market, the cocoa market is absolutely skyrocketing. And I checked it out myself today, went onto the charts and looked at the cocoa price, and it is absolutely skyrocketing. So that is it confirmed. It's about $10,000 a ton, which is more than double, possibly triple the former high of what cocoa was. So we're going to get into this story. And this is a new thing. Just in the past couple months, the price has gone up. So I guess it hasn't really hit consumers yet. If you're noticing higher prices in cocoa, I don't know. Let me know. The global cocoa market is buckling under the strain of unprecedented shortages. A once unimaginable rally that upended physical trading is now filtering rapidly through the futures market. Prices that have more than doubled in just 3 months are forcing traders, processors, and chocolate makers to stump up more cash to cover their trades or head for the exit. As raising the specter of company failures like the ones that plagued European utilities during the recent energy crisis, when gas prices spiraled out of control and governments were forced to bail them out. There are fears it could be worse. So can you imagine food processing companies or distributors having to be bailed out by the government because the prices of everything have gotten so high? There are many commodities, and food among them, that are subsidized, just like the oil industry, in order to keep prices stable. Right? They don't want things to go up and down so fast. Well, things never go down; they only go up. They don't want things to go up so fast that that it just blows the economy to smithereens, because that's what happens. If things go up too fast, then you just get out of control inflation, and the economy just goes in the toilet. It's raising the specter of company failures, and I read this. There are fears it could be worse. Some traders are even alluding to a nickel-type meltdown that rattled the London Metal Exchange. It's hard to understand the magnitude of the price rise, says Pam Thornton, a veteran commodity trader at Nightingale Investment Management, who's best known for her role at former cocoa hedge fund Armaharo Asset Management. When you have moves of this magnitude, there are usually casualties, and I'm amazed I haven't heard of any yet. Cocoa futures have surged as poor harvests in West Africa, where most of the world's beans are grown, sparked a third year of shortages. And this is the reason why we're covering this on Black Bear News. Because this is the thing that happens. So, climate goes up and down, weather goes up and down, temperatures goes up, they go up and they go down. There have been poor crops and famine in the past, and so on some level this is nothing new. However, we have a different added element, which is rising temperatures, climate change, extreme weather events, which are getting worse all the time, and there are no indications that it's going to go back in the other direction. There are only indications that it's going to get worse, that temperatures are going to go higher, that extreme weather events are going to become more frequent, and that crops are going to be affected adversely because of these things. Cocoa futures have surged as poor harvests in West Africa, where most of the world's beans are grown, sparked a third year of shortages. There's a risk the crunch could be long-lasting, with climate change and crop disease ravaging trees, and concerns mounting that production in Ivory Coast and Ghana has entered a period of structural decline. There are already signs of stress building across the industry. Switzerland's Barry Cayabo AG, the largest maker of bulk chocolate, in January said it expected an industry-wide impact on working capital requirements. It said it addressed the concern by issuing 600 million Swiss francs in bonds to refinance securities due in May, as well as increasing a credit line and securing another loan. Oh, trouble. Big trouble afoot. While Barry Cayabo's shares have dropped by about a third in the past year, investor Artisan Partners Asset Management, Inc. has just increased its stake, expressing longer-term confidence in the company. Well, you go, Artisan Partners Asset Management. Acomo Nevada, owner of Dutch trader Tradin Organic, said last year's earnings were materially impacted by the unprecedented increase in cocoa prices, resulting in lower demand and hedging losses. Chocolate companies are also feeling the pinch, with BNP Paribas Exane downgrading a Hershey company due to surging costs. Bean shortages, scarce supplies first sparked a race to secure beans where they're grown. In Ivory Coast, many traders and processors rushed to source supplies by paying farmers more than the prices set by the government. Others have turned to smaller producers like Ecuador and Indonesia, but it won't be enough. I'm sorry you can't see this. I don't know why that's happening. I've been just talking at the screen, so should be able to see it now. Barry Cayabo expects a deficit of about 500,000 tons this season, equal to about a tenth of the global market. The firm, a supplier to the likes of Mars Inc. and Nestle SA, predicts another shortfall of 150,000 tons next season. The shortages are roiling the futures market. As prices rise, traders with short positions, including those who've sold futures to hedge against physical holdings, have to come up with more money to pay margin calls, which works as an insurance policy to cover potential losses. Those who can't are forced to buy back contracts, pushing up prices further and creating a vicious circle. This is something like what happened with GameStop a few years ago. And it's still happening in some ways today. That's exactly what happened in the gas market when Russia began restricting supplies to Europe. Prices spiraled out of control and companies started to fail one after another. German utilities, including Uniper SE and the former European Trading and Supply Unit of Gazprom PJSC, had to be rescued. In nickel, a runaway short squeeze centered on the world's top producer in 2022 created so much market stress that it put others at risk of failing too. But unlike LME, Intercontinental Exchange Inc., is unlikely to intervene and halt cocoa trading to protect those vulnerable in the market. ICE has, however, taken several steps to tame the rally and keep the London and New York markets orderly. The Bourse increased margins several times this year and reduced the threshold from when market players need to disclose more information about their positions. In London, where Ivory Coast and Ghana hedge their sales, the exchange is gradually cutting the amount traders can buy through its market. The so-called delivery limit is going from 75,000 tons in May to 50,000 tons in July and down progressively until it reaches 25,000 tons for the December contract onward. It is a moment of great uncertainty in the exchange. Measures are to avoid the market from being even more squeezed, said Leonardo Rossetti, an analyst at brokerage Stone X. So I guess all the way back in the 70s, there was a cocoa, a high peak, looked like quite a rise in cocoa prices to about 6,000 a ton, but it's generally stayed in the anywhere between 1,500 and 4,000 a ton, over a long time, over decades. But 10,000 a ton is unprecedented. ICE Futures Europe President Christopher Rhodes said the cocoa market is serving its function as a venue to manage price risk and pointed to speculators curbing their positions. Derivatives markets facilitate price discovery, allow customers to manage their risk, and serve as a buyer and seller of last resort, he said in a statement. These principles are especially important when the underlying demand and supply fundamentals change, as we are seeing in cocoa. With beans harder to come by, agricultural trading giant Cargill Inc. recently turned to exchange supplies to source cocoa. The U.S. merchant took delivery of 75,000 tons, the maximum allowed when the March contract expired in London. We do intend to use part of those beans to offset some of the shortages of fresh cocoa from our suppliers in West Africa, said Job Loning, Cargill's head of cocoa trading. We are keen to continue offering customers the cocoa and chocolate products that they need in 2024. Replenishing inventories won't be easy, as new European Union rules due to kick in at year end will require companies to show crops haven't come from deforested land. Something the industry is still struggling with how to prove. All right. Well, so they have some kind of interest in doing some kind of fair trade or nicer to the planet type sourcing, but they don't know how to do that. Which, is about par for the course. The EU has faced calls to delay the deforestation regulation, and cocoa futures could drop significantly if the deadline is pushed back. Some traders also say that the rally to more than $10,000 a ton, a higher price than copper, may be enough to curb demand. Focus is now turning to West Africa's new harvest. The supplies will probably only start to ease next year after farmers have had time to react to higher prices and improve production. Until more supplies arrive or demand craters, the industry should brace for a tough market and potentially higher prices. So we'll see if this is a momentary blip in the supply of cocoa, or if this is going to, poor weather and extreme weather and, weather whiplash, et cetera, take its toll or continue to take its toll on the cocoa crops. And these are happening. These kinds of things are happening all over the world too, right? To other crops, other commodities, other things that people intend to eat, and probably things that are more necessary, right, than chocolate. All right, let's move on to this other story Paul Beckwith posted, which is quite interesting. But we'll get a little into it. The polar vortex is spinning backwards. Yes, it has, and is happening. As Canadians, we are very familiar with the term polar vortex. We are also familiar with its effects on Canadian weather when it acts up. While the polar vortex is a year-round phenomenon, we tend to only feel its freezing influence in the winter when it is strongest. Because the polar vortex is an area of low pressure in the atmosphere, the winds surrounding it tend to circulate cyclonically or counterclockwise. However, like many other atmospheric phenomena such as jet streams, the vortex can act up in ways we don't always expect. Most of the time, when the polar vortex becomes weak and unstable, all the time now, definitely over the last 5 years, most of the time when the polar vortex becomes weak and unstable, we'll see a portion of the vortex dip down over the country and bring about dangerously freezing temperatures. How many times has that happened in the last few years? It used to be a thing that happened, occasionally, and now it happens pretty much every year. Pretty much every year, you can expect a vortex phenomenon. These cold snaps can last anywhere from days to bleak, frigid weeks. Earlier this year in January, a polar vortex sank over Western Canada and plunged the region into near record-breaking temperatures. Also, China got hit. China and Mongolia. I was just reading about, millions of animals dying due to extremely cold temperatures. Anyways, they plunged the region into near record-breaking temperatures. Edmonton, Alberta saw temperatures go as far down as negative 46 C and added bitter wind chill of negative 58. Now the polar vortex has been acting up again. It's spinning in reverse. That's right, the winds surrounding the vortex of Arctic air have been circulating anticyclonically or clockwise due to a phenomenon known as sudden stratospheric warming. Basically, temperatures in the stratosphere warmed up suddenly and quickly at the beginning of March, which disrupted the regular but coincidentally weakened flow of vortex and caused it to reverse. So what does this mean for our weather in Canada? Well, to put it simply, nothing, at least not this time around. The reversal happened to not change the shape or the path of the jet stream, the major influencer of our weather patterns, so there really haven't been any noticeable effects on our weather in Canada from this phenomenon. And this is by far not the first time we've seen this happen. In fact, a polar vortex reversal had already happened earlier this year. And this one did affect our weather. On the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Polar Vortex blog, climate scientists Amy Butler and Laura Siasto claim that a weaker polar vortex reversal occurred in mid-January and that this is what gave way to the cold snaps that froze over Western Canada and parts of the United States. And as is the atmosphere's dynamic nature, the vortex will soon correct itself and resume its usual circulation until its next disturbance. Interesting. This is, I'm actually interested in, let's see, finding something out about this. Help me, DuckDuckGo. Help. What the heck? No. I'm just trying to find. No, not finding anything here. Just trying to find out how many times the jet stream has reversed in the past. Does anybody, can anybody quickly find out this information? I mean, I'm just seeing things about Jupiter's jet stream going in reverse. Let's see. Maybe I should just shorten my search. No. Well, let's see. Here's something. I'm not really finding anything about. Let's see what this is from 2019. What would happen if the jet stream flowed from east to west? Let's see. The reversal of the jet stream would result in many weather consequences to all areas of the U.S. The jet stream traveled from east to west. If the jet stream traveled from east to west, the one thing which could be stated with some certainty is that the East Coast would see weather systems first. Most regions would no longer experience the weather conditions that they have become accustomed to seeing. There you go. Gene. So in this article, they're saying, thanks for the answer, Gene. In different latitudes, they flow in different directions. However, if they flow in the wrong direction, you would not get this. They would definitely change the weather. Yes. Yes. Osama, the search engine has become the hide engine. And so we don't know. We don't know anything now. We know nothing. All right. Last thing I wanted to look at today. And then I'm going to leave you all. And this is, not new news. From Aaron K. All right, what's up? We got a few folks, a couple folks watching on Rockfin. Make sure you retweet, like, etc., etc. Do all the things. All the Rockfin people, you know what to do. I'm trying to get this post up here from Aaron K. Arun K. Or Arunk. We're just adding more energy, not really replacing any electricity production by source. I feel like we just looked at this graph. Or we just revisit this graph, I don't know, once every couple of weeks. Anyways, energy production just goes up no matter the source, whether it's renewables, bioenergy, solar, wind, hydropower, nuclear, oil, gas, or coal. It all goes up. All of it. It looks like oil actually looks like it's gone down just slightly, but stayed relatively constant. But all of these other sources have gone up. Nuclear looks about constant as well, but gas up, coal up. Hydropower up, wind up, solar up, bioenergy up. I did see that, Gene, about the ozone spike. With the cold air spinning in the wrong direction. Which is also wild. Let's look at that really quickly before we see if I can. Okay. I did find something there. What does this mean? What does the ozone spike mean? Inquiring minds want to know. Arctic polar vortex is spinning in the wrong direction, creating extreme ozone spike. In a strange weather phenomenon. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure whether they're just like kind of tepid, like this is weird kind of reporting should be met with like, this should absolutely be panic inducing. Right? Because that's how they always, when they report on like extreme weather events or things that are clearly not normal, right? They just tend to be like, well, this is weird and it'll just go away soon, right? So everything will be back to normal, right? Like that's kind of how the news reports on things. So I'm just wondering if they're very like, well, this is a strange thing kind of reporting should be more, more like absolutely hair on fire, like, oh my God, everything is spinning out of control. We've lost power, Jim. We've lost power to the main thrusters, Jim. The ship is going down. Let's see. In a strange weather phenomenon, that vortex suddenly started spinning in the wrong direction. And knews.com has learned it caused an ozone spike above the North Pole. Spaceweather.com reported that the polar vortex reversed direction suddenly on March 4th. While the phenomenon is expected, the speed of the reversal was the sixth fastest such occurrence since 1979. Okay, well, we got a little more information there with that one. It also created an ozone spike. That was the strongest since records began that year. It is the second polar vortex reversal of 2024, with a smaller occurrence happening in January. Experts say the reversal is unlikely to cause a massive freeze at lower latitudes, partly because it is already slowing, but it was created by a sudden stratospheric warming event above the North Pole, causing an ozone spike. The polar vortex reverses when naturally occurring waves caused by the Earth's rotation break into the polar stratosphere, or the region in the atmosphere above where commercial flights can fly safely, but below where most meteors disintegrate. When the polar vortex breaks into the stratosphere, they accelerate the transportation of ozone from the tropics to the Arctic and cause a stratospheric warming of upwards of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, now that is not good. That is not good. The stratospheric warming of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The polar vortex is showing signs of slowing, and experts predict it will return to its normal counterclockwise. I wonder, though. I have even more questions now. About the stratospheric warming. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is it releasing energy? If it's getting high enough, is it releasing energy into space? Is it getting up to the point where it's releasing energy into space? I have questions about that. Anyways, while sea ice continues to decline, with March 2024's maximum ice levels measuring the 14th lowest on record, the vortex itself did not appear to cause any dramatic Arctic weather events beyond the general global warming trend. A standard polar vortex features stratospheric winds that reach speeds as high as 155 miles per hour, or the speed of a Category 5 hurricane. Those extreme winds trap cold temperatures in the Arctic, which keep global temperatures further south more moderate. But now, not so much. When the vortex weakens, frigid Arctic air breaks through and heads further south in a polar jet stream. Well, this is a funny sentence. Researchers are mixed about whether weakening polar vortexes will become more likely as global warming continues. Not sure. Don't know. I feel like it's fairly obvious. The theory is that warming weather causes a torquing effect that increases disruptions in the polar vortex. Just my personal observation is that every single year there's, polar vortexes, sometimes very, very major, every single year now. Whereas in the past, I think they were, semi-infrequent occurrences. And definitely warming weather affects the consistency or the constancy of the jet stream, right? I mean, what's been happening in the jet stream for the past 5, 6, 7 years? It's breaking up. It's breaking up, Jim. The theory is that the warming weather causes torquing. However, they have also found that the connection between strange weather events and polar vortexes diminishes over long time frames, suggesting it could simply result from natural variability. Guys, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and book your trip to Jamaica. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Go back to bed. Suggesting it could result from natural variability. All right. Always got to slip in the old climate skepticism right at the end there. Yeah, we don't know whether it's tied to climate change or whether it affects anything at all. So it should be fine. Everything's good. And you know, parkas are half off at Walmart, so go get you one just in case. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to check up on the coffees and the super rays and the super chats and all that kind of good stuff. Here, at this point in time, you can also send me, you know the deal. You can send me a message with the old Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, etc. Right. All right, guys. That about does it for me. I appreciate you all joining in. To the people that support the show financially, you know who you are, and I appreciate you. Thanks for joining in, guys. Okay, just a reminder that the new time of the show is going to start tomorrow, and that is 11 a.m. So we're going 2 hours later. The new time of the show is 11 a.m. There will be a live show or a upload or something at 11 a.m., right? So I will see you all then, and thank you. Until next time, peace.